Alright guys, so in this video I'm going to be showing you my 4K Ultra HD movie collection. So I got a big stack right here. You kind of can't see because I got them all stacked up. But basically I'm going to go through them one by one and just show you what 4K movies I have. But before we get to that, I'm going to kind of tell you about the setup I have and why I watch 4K movies. So a little over a year ago I got a 4K LG OLED TV, which I'll show up here on the screen right now. Basically it's a 65-inch TV. I believe it's the B7 version from like 2017. I bought it for $2,000. You can definitely get 4K TVs cheaper than that, but I decided to opt for an OLED because I checked out the picture at Best Buy and the OLED TV just looked miles better than the other LCD screens. So I definitely recommend getting an LG OLED TV if you really want a good 4K TV. And on top of that, I also got a good surround sound system. So basically right now I have a 5.1.2 setup, which I'll show a picture on the screen right now that kind of shows you what that looks like. But basically I have a center speaker, I have 2 front speakers, I have 2 rear speakers, and I have 2 overhead speakers and a subwoofer. So this kind of envelops you in sound, which is really nice. It also has Dolby Atmos, which a lot of 4K movies have nowadays. So it's really cool. It's really immersive movie experience. So I definitely recommend it, and I'll put some links in the description for some equipment. But let's go ahead and get into the 4K movies. So I'm just going to go in alphabetical order of what I have. Now before I get into showing these movies, I just want to say I'm not a movie critic or anything. I don't have journalism-worthy critics or anything. I just kind of enjoy watching good-looking movies and entertaining movies. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the first movie I have is A Simple Favor in 4K. Now this isn't a particularly great-looking movie. I mean, it looks good in 4K because everything looks good in 4K. But it has Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively. It's a cool movie, interesting kind of thriller, I guess you'd call it. But yeah, next up I have A Quiet Place. Now this is a really good movie. Has John Krasinski, I think that's how you say his name, from The Office. This is a really good looking movie, and this is especially good if you have good surround sound system. So I definitely recommend watching this with surround sound. Actually, let me take one of these out of the case so you can kind of see what's inside. But basically, every movie that I have so far, it comes with a 4K disc, which you can see right here, 4K Ultra HD. And then it usually comes with a Blu-ray as well, which is nice in case, you want to take it to a friend's house and they don't have a 4K TV. Now next I have E.T. And actually now looking at this reminds me, HDR, that's a big thing. HDR is high dynamic range, and it basically gives you a wide variety of colors, and it just makes the picture pop. So I definitely recommend it. E.T. is a classic. I think everybody knows about it. Looks really good in 4K. Definitely upscaled from the original, version of it. But I definitely enjoyed this movie in 4K. Now, next up, I'm not even sure how to pronounce this. I think it's Machina. I really don't know. This is a kind of weird movie. Pretty interesting sci-fi type of movie, I guess you call it. Sci-fi thriller kind of thing. I'm not very good at movie genres, so I'll probably say some incorrect stuff on here. But this is a really good movie, definitely entertaining. And one other thing I meant to say is some of these movies are rated R or PG-13. Definitely don't watch them unless you're of age. But yeah, so next up I got Get Out. Now this is a really good movie by Jordan Peele, kind of like a horror thriller kind of movie. Again, since this one was made just a couple years ago, this is a really good 4K looking movie, especially with surround sound. There's some scenes that will just knock you out of your seat because it's so loud and immersive. Next up I got the original Halloween from, I don't even know what year this came out, probably in the 70s or 80s. And I actually haven't watched this one on 4K yet. I bought it because it was pretty cheap, and I just haven't watched it yet. But if you've seen the old Halloween movies, they're pretty interesting, pretty scary, and some of the old ones are pretty cheesy. Now next up I got The Incredibles 2. This is a really good looking movie. Pixar movies have looked good for ages, but you throw Pixar into a 4K movie, it looks really good. This kind of has a sleeve on it, folds out, really good art as you expect from Disney. It's actually got 3 discs in here. You got your 4K movie, you got your Blu-ray feature, and you got your Blu-ray bonus disc with whatever stuff. I haven't even actually looked at it before. And this edition I got actually comes with a storybook, which is pretty cool. That's another thing I kind of like about picking up movies from the stores. You get these cool features that come with them. But yeah, definitely recommend Incredibles 2 in 4K. It looks great. Alright, next up, It. I think this is one of the better looking 4K movies, especially because of HDR. If you've seen this movie, there's a lot of kind of like yellows and reds in the movie, and yellows and reds really pop in HDR, so I definitely recommend watching this in 4K if you can. You see you got your clown right there, and man, his features just really pop in HDR, and then 4K just makes it all the better, especially surround sound. You need surround sound on this too. Sounds really good. Now next up I got Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is an animated Spider-Man movie. I really enjoyed this movie. It's kind of different than all the other Spider-Man movies since it's animated, and it's just kind of like a different storyline. But I really enjoyed this one. Again, this is one that HDR plays a huge part because of the the colors they have. They have lots of reds and blues, which really pop really well in HDR. So I definitely recommend this one too. Now next up I got Cabin in the Woods. This is like a horror thriller type of movie. So this looked good in 4K. It wasn't originally meant for 4K. I don't really know what year this came out. Probably, I don't know, 2008 or something. But it's kind of a pretty gruesome movie, so definitely don't watch it if you're kind of scared of blood or whatever. But it's a pretty good movie. Nothing special. Now next up, The Dark Knight Trilogy. These are some of my favorite movies. I haven't actually watched all of these in 4K yet, but I have seen them all before. Batman Begins, to be honest, actually didn't look super great in 4K. At least not as good as I thought it would. It was a little bit grainy. I don't know. That's just how I felt about it. I mean, it's kind of an old movie now. The Dark Knight, that looks really, really good in 4K, especially with HDR, and you got the Joker's red lips and all that kind of stuff. And then The Dark Knight Rises, I haven't actually watched in 4K yet, but I'm sure it looks really good because it just came out like less than a decade ago. But yeah, the Batman movies, I definitely recommend having surround sound with Batman. They just have so many scenes that it really immerses you in the experience if you have surround sound, and you can feel the bass and feel the speakers above you and below you and all around you, and it's really immersive. Now next up, The Martian. I just got this one recently actually and saw it for the first time. Now this movie looks really, really good in 4K. You can see every detail, all the sand and gravel, whatever you want to call it, on Mars, and the details of the suits and everything looks really good. Definitely an interesting movie, pretty long movie, but definitely keeps you immersed the entire time. So I definitely recommend watching this movie. Whether you see it on 4K or Blu-ray, definitely watch this movie. It's really good. Now I've got another Pixar one, Toy Story. This came out in 1995, so this is a pretty old movie to be in 4K. And as you can see, it's in this pretty cool steelbook. This actually came out like a month ago or something. I'm not really sure. Before Toy Story 4 came out. But they basically came out with the trilogy of the Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 in steelbook for 4K, and I just had to pick it up because first of all, the steelbook looks really good, and 4K Toy Story I just couldn't pass up. The Toy Story movies are some of my favorite movies of all time, kind of some movies that I grew up on, but I definitely recommend this. You can definitely tell the difference between the 4K movie and the original VHS movie, but it definitely looks really good, and if you want to, I definitely recommend picking up the steelbook edition from Best Buy. Kind of expensive, but it's a solid steelbook. I think steelbooks are really nice. And as I said, I got the trilogy, so here's Toy Story 2, kind of the same deal, just a different color, pretty similar quality steelbook. On the back, you got the bottom of Buzz and Woody's foot where it says Andy. And yeah, this is just a really nice case, and steelbooks just add another dimension to your collection. And of course, Toy Story 3 as well to finish out the trilogy, which is actually not a trilogy anymore since they have a fourth movie, and I'll definitely be picking up that in 4K when that comes out. I just saw it recently. It was a good movie. And then you got your bear on the back. And then last but not least, this is my most recent movie that I picked up called Us, another steelbook that I got from Best Buy. Really plain on the outside, which is not a bad thing. I think that's a good thing for this movie. I think steelbooks just look really clean with the clean outer look. So this is definitely a good movie, kind of like a scary thriller type of movie. Definitely don't watch it unless you're of age. It's rated R, and it's pretty freaky, but it is a really good movie, and it looks really good in 4K. Just came out and everything. 4K, surround sound, really immerses you. So there you go, guys. There's my movie collection. I believe it's like somewhere between 17 and 20 4K movies, and I'm definitely looking to continue to expand my collection. It's just something I've enjoyed doing, and 4K movies look really good, especially with HDR, and especially when you pair surround sound with them. It's a really good experience. So I'm gonna leave you with my favorite 3 movies out of the 4K movies I have. I got Get Out, It, and The Martian. I don't really have any great reasons for why these are my favorite, but I just think these are a good combination of good storylines, entertaining movies, and really good looking picture and sound. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll definitely leave some links down in the description for most of these movies, or I'll try to get all of them down there. But definitely let me know if you want to see more videos like this where I kind of show my collections of 4K movies, or 4K games, other video games I have. Let me know down in the comments, and thanks for watching, guys.